All right. So we'll be talking more about diapers later. So what I wanted, that's not a joke. So what I wanted to cover here is our own journey a little bit, and how we approached this personalized first approach that Natalia shared with us. And then my friend here, Andrew Kumar, is going to show you actual examples and actual code. I'll just kind of start with the approach at a high level and how you would get into it, and he'll jump in right into sort of the details and like the results, and they're actually pretty cool. I should say, so in case you don't know, Rangle is a professional services organization. So we have this mission of just advancing the state of the art in customer experience. We're just really passionate about this. This is why we have these events. And so we kind of met at the beginning of the year, and we kind of evaluated if how we're accomplishing that mission. And we realized that for almost everything that we do, aside from the meetups, you have to kind of call us and talk to us to learn about new ways of doing things, what other people are doing, and what at least our opinion is on what good looks like and what good is out there, and how you can maybe move your organization forward. And we like to think that we're good partners to people who would sort of invent the future of the organization. And so we wanted to kind of rethink how we've been approaching it so far, especially requiring a phone call. So we looked at our site and we said, well, why don't we just open source everything that we've ever done, everything that we know, everything that's in the heads of our, you met Nancy and Natalia, and we have hundreds of really smart people like them, and they have all this knowledge in their heads, they have all these projects. We've been around for about a decade and more, and in that time, we've been involved in over 500 really modernization initiatives. So we may not have worked with any of you, but we maybe worked for your competitors or other people in your industry at really reinventing their future. If they just went ahead with legacy stuff, that wasn't us, that was somebody else. But if they did attempt to make a difference, to be customer first, and to do something different, we're there along the way at some point. And so we had this idea of, why don't we just create all this content? And but it was very obvious to us that we'd hit a few roadblocks. And luckily for us, Wrangle's own website is on Sanity and uses Uniform. So we had the tools. And I want to talk about that journey so far. It's still an ongoing journey. The site isn't live, unfortunately. We didn't get to ship on time for this meetup. But it will be going live at some point. Ask Fee, she's in charge of it. In terms of logos, these are some of the logos that we like to friends. We cover a lot of territory, and so this is what we've sort of, this is kind of our blueprint that we wanted to share with you guys today. It comes from our experience working with other customers, personalizing their site, but also we like to dog food, so it's easy enough to tell other people how they can do their own thing. We felt like we should put ourselves to the test. But let me talk about sort of our journey. So the first thing that we usually do whenever we deal with any customer service type thing is we audit the experience, just to understand what those experience, what we're trying to build. This is, what you see here is an artifact, we call it the audit. We may have actually invented this process on a Sanity project. Nancy can say if we did or not. But it's a process that we've used ever since. It's really about really understanding what you're trying to build, what kind of user experience you're trying to build, and breaking it down so that every stakeholder and everybody can collaborate before we jump into code. When it came to personalization, we made a small change to this process. We also used this time to kind of pinpoint where we had a surface area that would be great for personalization. So what you guys are seeing is our future navigation, and this is just one of the navigation views. It's the one that showcases all our partners. Sanity's #1 in CMS because they're our favorite. But Uniform is also there because they're also our favorite.
We're also there.
They're all our favorites. And so this is our navigation. So navigation that you would have seen. But we have this area in navigation because, if you're looking at what partners we usually leverage, the non-legacy kind, you can come and see and learn about how other leading companies are doing things. But we have this section over here where obviously we can pick our 3 favorite articles, but they may not be what you want to know about. So the first thing, we kind of thought of is, let's go ahead and audit, but in the process of auditing, let's figure out what our personalization surface area looks like. So that was the first step. We'll look at actual tactical examples of that a little later. The second bit is identifying intent. So Natalia talked a little bit about this. The intent is really kind of you have to think about what is the user, or the visitor rather, coming to the site for in the first place. What are they looking for? And so what is their purpose? What is their goal? And so we have kind of this structured questionnaire. We ask for everything that we audited across our experience, all those personalization points. We try to figure out what are common problems our customers are trying to solve. We group some of those that are similar together in these intents, and we define clear actions and goals for those. And so that's going to be the basis of our personalization efforts. So you can kind of see examples there. An intent may be to learn about a product feature on Shopify, let's say. And so we look at things that are guides that we have, or comparison charts, or the like. So once we have an understanding of our surface area, we identify intents. To give you guys a sense of the scale at which we're dealing with in those 10 years. So we offer 27 discrete services. Those are slightly different across industries. If you're in retail or you're in financial systems, you have different needs. And so let's say one of our services we offer is we help you choose the right CMS. That's probably Sanity. And then we look at your needs based on your industry. And then we talk about how that CMS really helps with the problems you may have. So in financial services, the content can't just go live. There has to be a workflow. It has to go to legal first. And so we talk about how choosing a CMS within that, your context matters. And then of course we're usually not talking to just one person, we're talking to a few people. And there's usually 3 roles. So what the engineers want to know is very different from what the functional leaders in marketing want to know. And it's very different from what their C-suites want to know. And so, the CFO is asking us about SOX compliance. Well, the engineer is like, will this work with my stack? And what is the structure of it? CFOs always ask for SOX too. I don't know why. And so, and so across all these, when we set out to kind of push this initiative of open sourcing everything that we had internally, everything that we had in our Notion, everything that we had ever done over 10 years and that we're doing currently for some of these leading clients, we found that we had more than 1,000 discrete intents depending on the people. So that's what we mean by scale. And we wouldn't be able to do this without sanity and uniform. So that's why we wanted to have this conversation as well. Honestly, I don't know what we would do. So this is great. So once we have our footprint, once we know what our surface area is for personalization, and we know kind of the people that are going to come here, all 1,000 unique archetypes, we can start the process of going through the last step, which is deciding what signals, what tells us that you're number 36 rather than number 47. What tells us that you're interested in headless CMSs, and you're interested in personalization, and you're in the retail industry. So collecting these signals, there's a set of these signals here. So historically, this is a nice breakdown. So behavioral signals, we look at what you're doing, look at what you're clicking. Are you clicking on headless CMS content? Are you clicking on Shopify? And the rest of the site updates accordingly. So if you came to us through a Google search and you hit a blog that had to do with e-commerce and sanity, then we'll know a few things about what you're interested in. And so our site will adapt accordingly and guide you to that rather than guide you to, I don't know, somewhere else. We have 27 services. I haven't memorized them. Conversion signals are also a very good one. People will ask us, you'll submit your email to get an ebook, and we'll know that you were interested in that ebook, so we'll continue there. User traits. I'm not going to talk about this too much because people overdo this one, and I think we kind of talked about why people overdo this one, but a good example is that we do look at, let's say if we know that you're coming from a company in the financial service sector, we'll adapt accordingly. Campaign traits are self-explanatory. These are keyword parameters that we may put on social. So if you click from a social link, location signals, we'll see a good example of this later. So if we know that you're in in Toronto, we may just decide that we just want you at our meetup to drink our beer and talk to you. So we may push that stuff towards you. And then technology signals. Those could be sort of you're on your device, you're on the move, things like that. So those 3 steps are critical steps to be personalization first from day one. Just understanding where your experience can be personalized, understanding what intent your business is targeting, and then mapping that to the signals. If you did everything else correctly, you structured your content instead of sanity, and you've talked to Andrew Kumar and you got a licensed uniform, then you're good to go. On that note, I'm gonna bring Andrew Kumar to the stage, and he's gonna talk more about diapers.
Yeah.